Berated B-rated movies. This week, Brian and Anthony talk to Paul Dale, director of Killer Kites. He solves the home or office debate from our episode. He also talks about the amazing character of the Oracle. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Well, thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
So, yeah, we watched, I found Killer Kites on Tubi, and I was like, this is wonderful. It's just... Yes. Wonderfully ridiculous is the best way I can put it. Like, it was just really fun.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
glad to hear you guys dug it.
No, it's great, man. Like, it was, every so often I don't know what we'll be doing, but all of a sudden we'll get this stuff and we'll have friends send it to us, and then we're like, holy hell, and then we'll send it to each other, and then we're just like, oh, 100% we need to get onto this episode then. And this was one of those cases where he's like, check this out. I was like, oh, I'm kind of disappointed that, I wasn't able to spread that one to you, Because as soon as he sent it to me, I think I blew up everybody on Instagram and their text messages, everything like that. Like, dude, we're doing this. Yeah, so many people. I don't know if you can have a graph or something that shows, like, all of a sudden there's a big ass spike in people watching this movie because we sent it and shared it with so many friends and family, man. It was awesome.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Did it just like come up in your feed? Like, how did you?
Well, I think I've watched enough like
similar,
like deep horror comedy on Tubi that now Tubi's just like,
yeah.
Oh, you like Trash Juice? You liked this? You like that? Try Killer Kites. Like, I think that's what's happening now.
Yeah.
Because it popped up on my recommended.
Okay. That's good to know. Because, I have once it gets on that side of things, I have no conception of who's seeing it or how. It's all smoke and mirrors and whatnot with them. So, I'm glad to
it was just... Yeah, it was just that wonderful, like, blend of, like, horror comedy where... like you have the one normal character, if you want to describe her as normal.
Yeah.
In I can't think of her name right now, but
Manon Pagé is the actress's name.
Yeah. But yeah, like her, and then you have all of these like over the top crazy characters who don't realize they're over the top.
Right.
They're just being themselves, and it just works wonderfully.
That's great, man. Like I said, man, I'm really glad you guys like the movie. This is cool. It's good to hear.
Yeah, no, there's we've said it before, like we started doing the podcast because we started losing kind of faith in movies because every Hollywood movie, it's the same thing, over and over. And so we were talking about it. And so I've always been a fan of like the horror movie or the indie horror movies. So my buddy and I used to watch all the time, and then I hope you're listening to this episode. And then he moved across town like a total asshole, and so I fucking wasn't able to watch horror or indie films, for a while because that was my indie film partner. And then Anthony's like, "Hey, we should do this," and so I was like, "Hell yeah, we love indie movies." And so I wanted to, actually say thanks because we were getting so like I still don't have a lot of faith in the movies for when my son grows up. We've already had movies about every natural disaster, every animal killing everybody, every, horrible thing that could happen. And so you're just like, there's nothing else that can be made. And then all of a sudden you come up and you're just like, what's about this? I was like, God damn, so then it just opens up your, faith again. Like, dude, if something so simple as like kites, like even those death scenes, like where they, they fly too high and now that person's hanging there, you're like, oh, that sucks for that person. But like, it just opened it up to, if you can think about it, then yeah, it's awesome. So great job, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
But yeah, so kind of like, what was the concept for this? Like, how did this one come about?
So, how much backstory you guys want?
As much as you want to get.
I give you 10 years of my life story to get to Killer Kites, but to truncate a lot of that nonsense. Basically, I've been, I went to film school and then found out very quickly in film school that they weren't going to show me how to make a movie. And I was like, this is a waste of time and money. And so I just started making movies, right? So I made my first feature film when I was 19, just a low budget, crappy horror movie. And it was not good. It was a very, it was a noble effort, I'll say.
Can it be seen anywhere?
Yeah, it's out there. I won't, if you dig for it, you could find it. It's called Chosen. It was a pretentious 19-year-old trying to be an artist. I'll put it like that.
All right.
And then shortly thereafter, I was like, okay, that didn't work, but I wanted to keep making movies. And, I like this type of stuff. Like I like horror movies and I like comedy movies. And I was like, well, there's a perfect marriage right there. Right. So next thing we did was a movie called Silent but Deadly, which is about a killer mime. And, typical slasher movie, kids go in a cabin in the woods, a mime shows up, starts offing people in weird ways. And that's actually where I met Manon, the main actress from this movie. And it was the most fun I've ever had doing anything. And we started to get kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say a following or a fan base, but some people started like noticing it. You Google the movie and then, oh, hey, here's a weird review that somebody actually recognizes stuff instead of the 3 people who saw my first movie. Anyway, so kind of following in that vein, then we made Sewer Gators, which is, alligators coming out of the toilets and eating people by their assholes, which was a lot of fun. And again, I kind of fell into this weird niche of making these types of movies. So this one came about because my brother sent me a video of my nephew, who's 2, trying to fly a kite, and the kite just freaking clobbered him. Right, like it's just he just gets decked. He's fine, which is why I'm laughing at it. But, so he sends me this video and he goes, "Hey, I think I got your next movie." And I was like, "Man, that's not bad, Killer Kites." So I mentioned this to my buddy Austin, who does the movies with me. Usually he produces them, and he was like, "Hey, man, I want to write that." I was like, "All right, man, you write it. We could direct it together." So he went off, and my original version of it was very different than what he came up with. We can spoil things, right? Anybody's
because this will be out by the time our episode comes out. So
okay, yeah. So the whole contrivance of communist kites was that's all Austin and his crazy brain. The only thing that we didn't do that I really wanted, there was a joke that I pitched to him that I was like, we have to put this in the movie. Was at one point they were going to try to light the kites on fire. And it wasn't going to affect them. It was just going to then lob people's heads off and then light their bodies on fire. Logistically, it proved too difficult to do. That, and I wanted to end it by sending all the kites to space because there's no wind in space. And then there was going to be a post-credit scene where there were a bunch of kites in space flying back toward Earth. But again, when you have no money, these things become complicated.
No. We were talking during the movie too. I don't know if you remember these, but I swear when I was a kid, they came out these gigantic ass kites that you had to hold on to with both of your hands and you can move them. Do you remember those things?
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, fuck, those things definitely could murder somebody. They could pick them up and just tie somebody to them, I'll see you in the next town over, and then they're just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that's hilarious. That's where the idea came from, man.
That's the germ of the idea that then turned into this monstrosity.
Yeah, you have so many. I want to say this movie is largely the characters, and there's just so many fun characters. You have, even the guy that kind of was the hook for me was when she goes to meet the guy who gives her the kite. He's just so over the top. This is supposed to be some secret undercover thing, and he's the loudest, weirdest person.
Yeah.
So that came about, that character in particular came about in a rewrite because Austin went off, wrote the script, and then we got together and we're sitting at a bar just drinking and going through it line by line. And as we're talking through it, I don't know whose idea it was, but it was hey, that character should talk like David Lynch and be obsessed with worms. In the original draft of the script, it was literally just hey, yeah, this is your grandmother's kite, this is whatever. It was just a very bland, not, insane character. And I was like, no, man, there's an opportunity to go really stupid here. And So that's what we did, and that's a guy. The actor's a friend of ours from high school, Brett, who is now an attorney, a high-powered attorney who used to do these crappy movies with us back in high school, but he's moved on and he's a professional.
No, we liked all the details too in the movie. Every time that you were doing the news, right? Every time you were on the news, there was new messed up things at the bottom of it. And you're just like, that didn't just say that. And so there was times we had to like rewind it. We're like, what the hell? Like that's on the news? Like, finding stuff like that. Like what? There was a movie. What was it? Carousel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They had that bottle of rum or wine, and it's like, this isn't wine. Like this is what pirates drink are. And you're just like, that bottle didn't say that. And then it's like we rewind it, and you're just like, what the hell? So then every single time that breaking news comes in, it's something even more messed up than the first one. Like you're like, damn, that's very good on those ones. Like those little details too, which makes the movie fun to watch. And so it hits all the, people are being murdered, and then there's the story behind it, and then there's those little things that you're throwing in their faces. If you're paying attention,
Right.
then this is another thing too. So all around, man, it was very fun.
Yeah, that bit came out of that character. He was in the Mime movie because basically I realized after I'd written that script, I was like, okay, this is way too convoluted. Like, I don't know why. I felt like I needed to explain the backstory of the Mime. I mean, realistically, it's a parody of a horror movie. I didn't need to. I could have just dropped a fucking killer. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can curse or not on here.
I do all the time, man.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Could have just dropped the fucking killer mime in there and just had to murder people, and everybody would have been happy with that. But I was like, no, people need to know what the backstory is of this mime. So we contrived this whole like long backstory, and the only way I could do that exposition dump without it just being insanely boring was I made up this ridiculous news reporter character, right? Who was very loosely based on Geraldo Rivera in my mind. And so that was the thing. Like there was just this template for like the lower thirds at the bottom of the screen, and you had to put like what the person was. And I wasn't going to put Brock Peterson reporter in there. So like as a joke, just to make myself laugh when I was cutting the movie, I just started writing nonsense. I think the first one that I wrote in that movie was actually thinks strippers find him funny. Like it's just complete, crap like that. That was just things to make me laugh. And then I was eventually like, all right, I'll take that out eventually. And then I never did. And so now he just appears in every single movie, and he's gotten worse and worse as a character. And the lower thirds are more and more insulting. And I know one day my kids are going to watch these movies and be like, Dad,
and
did you
that's
get
good.
cookies in a Waffle House bathroom?
No, it's fun, man.
Yeah,
We
like
do.
speaking of Brock Peterson, the when he comes over the fence and he's like,
Right.
all my illegitimate kids are here, and it's just like, I don't know how you got to this conclusion. It's like, I like that little throw in. He's like, and none of you are Asian. Video.
Yes.
You know, Brock Peterson is a man who's lived many lives, and yeah, that's.
I got like a
I have no
Ron
defense for
Burgundy
that.
thing.
Yeah, he definitely arrives. He gets channeled in there for sure. So,
No,
Yeah.
when you make it, it just seems like it would be so much easier recording and doing everything when you are throwing these jokes and everything into it, rather than
yeah.
like, okay, guys, seriously this time. All right, we got to do this. No, like just go with it. Like even, like my work, like we have to do like videos to show people how to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so we always have just messed up names. Like we'll have like backwards names, so like we'll have like Magic Jordan, and then we'll have like a messed up email. And so I would always tell all my clients like, hey, if you ever get a video of us like doing something, like pay attention to the background, because we're really like like Peter Barker instead of Peter Park, like stuff like that. And everybody's like, hey, wait a second, so it just seems like it'd be so much funner being able to just throw in all these, I don't want to say like Easter egg type things, and seeing if anybody really catches on to them. But
Oh yeah. Well, what's really fun is when we'll be on set, and it's just like I'm usually holding one of the cameras if I'm not doing Brock Peterson, and it's just like somebody says a line, and then I'll just give you an example. Maybe I shouldn't. This is probably too inappropriate, but
There's no such thing.
where's the?
You're good.
So it's like there's a scene where I forget the character's name, the guy who's pining for the girl in the movie, right? He's just screwed something up at the bread festival, and she's like, "What are we gonna do now?" And it just like progressively every time he would do the line, and then I'd be like, "Back up, do it again." Now say, I don't know. I don't remember what the line is in the movie. It might be P.F. Chang's at 8 or like, but the whole thing is like us just trying to make each other laugh and throwing out other lines. I can't say the thing that I asked him to say that he refused to say. Somebody might listen to this, but he was like, "No, my mother's going to watch this movie. I'm not saying that line." Hey, it was very funny. I'll say it off air.
Yeah, that's what when we have other people around, we try to like. Well, I don't know. Anthony doesn't. I try to say the most messed up shit all the time just to throw Anthony off, and then like I was born and raised in a very religious house, and so now like we're older. Like if we're around like our parents, we'll say something like, "Oh, look at this boner." I'm like, "Excuse me." We'll say something like really messed up, like, I watched the movie Monster, and that single-handedly made me stop picking up highway prostitutes. My mom's like, "Brian Daniel, what the hell?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry," just to make it so uncomfortable. My mom's like, "Oh my God, like, what the hell? How did I raise these kids?" But always throwing those out. That's always great.
That would be a good Brock Peterson lower thirds right there.
See?
The movie Monster made him stop picking up highway hookers. That's
good. Like that. I was like, Requiem for a Dream, single-handed, and then we stopped mainlining Black Tar. And there's like, "God damn it, Brian. You never fucking mainline Black Tar. Get the hell out of here." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, I gotta go, guys." And then I like bounce off like the Skeletor meme. Like, "Until next time, folks." And I'd leave. And everybody's like, "God damn it, what the hell is this kid gonna say next time he comes in this room?" Yeah. Completely messed up. But with the kite thing, did you ever have any instances with a kite, or is it just basically based off of the little kid getting knocked by that kite?
Man, no, I never had any particular issues with kites. I flew them when I was a child, like everybody else, I guess. But
broken windows. I've witnessed kids getting messed up by kites.
I had an incident with some string once. I'll tell you that story.
Oh.
When I was a kid, I wanted to be Indiana Jones, right? Because every kid wants to be Indiana Jones. And I was obsessed with becoming Indiana Jones, right? I had the fedora, I had the leather hat, I had a fake gun, a little satchel, right? Except I didn't have a whip because my parents wouldn't give me a whip because I guess they thought I was going to become a sexual deviant or something, if I had a whip. Little did they know, it didn't help. So, so I went in the garage and I found some fishing twine, right? And I wrapped it around my hand about 500 times. And then I went and tied the other end of it to a very tall tree branch that I was climbing up in. And then went to dramatically swing.
Good God.
I don't know if you guys know how gravity works, but didn't go well. And basically like freaking more or less brush burned like a 1/4 inch into my skin is the best way I could describe it.
Good God.
I still got I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but I still got a scar across my hand there.
A little bit.
That big, huge thing from your ring finger to your knuckle?
Yep, that's it.
Holy cow. That looks like a cut.
Yeah, man. That's 6 years old trying to be Indiana Jones.
All right.
That's the closest to a kite injury I've had.
If Harrison Ford is listening to this, because I know he does, Harrison Ford, you owe him an apology, man. Swinging like that. Yeah, we used to get, there's this kid, and we were friends with his brother that's my age. He had a younger brother. He wasn't the coolest younger brother. So we'd convince him to climb on the top of his roof and then tie the rope to the trunk of the tree. Not a branch, but to the trunk, and then swing off. And the grandpa's like, "Yeah, do it." And we're just like, "Fuck, that's your grandkid. Like, you can't be egging on your grandkid to just jump off the roof. Like, Jesus." But it happened. It happened, And we're like, all right.
My buddy who plays the Oracle in the movie, Zach, he
He's
and
my
his
favorite
brother.
character.
Zach is so funny, man. He's a crazy man. When he was a kid, he and his brother used to play a game where they would climb up to the top of this big tree in their grandfather's yard, and the game was to try to poop out of the
What?
tree and not hit a branch on the way down.
Good God. And then,
And then I'm sure he's gonna be thrilled that I'm telling that story.
right. Just as a different name. That's what you got to do. I was so
Yeah.
pissed if I was like him coming home. I'd be like, what the hell? Like, this isn't cat shit. This isn't dog shit. What is going on? Or like if there was like a fire and you had to like climb out and like you're just
Right.
grabbing hands full of dump on tree branches. It's like, this is supposed to be the safest way out of my house. This is the fire exit. No, that sucks. Where did you record it at? How long did it take to record the movie?
So the turnaround time on this was actually pretty quick because we started shooting, I want to say September of last year, and we wrapped it up early November. We shot most of it about 2 hours west of where I live in a city called Lafayette. The only reason we all trucked over to Lafayette was because Frosh wrote a scene in the script where they're at an office building, right? And we're like, well, Carter has an office, we can go film over there. So we had to get everybody over there. And then some of the reviews, which really pisses me off, were like, they clearly just filmed these office scenes in somebody's bedroom.
That was a real
I
office.
may or may not have said that in our episode for fair warning. I called it a home office.
That's what, like, I was so annoyed because it doesn't read like, and it's completely understandable. It doesn't read like an office at all, but we like drove out there 3 days basically and just utilized all locations in that area in order to
Man.
just utilize the time. But yeah, man, we shot it over the course of some weekends, and just, we got this troop of people who tend to, for whatever reason, keep showing up in our movies, and it's a good time.
No, that's awesome.
But the Oracle, the thing that struck me about him, he's just like, he is an expert in exactly what he knows and nothing else. And he has the worst table manners on the history of the planet. His food is just falling out of his mouth as he's talking.
So Zach has horrible vision. Like, he wears these Coke bottle glasses normally. So when he has to take those off to put those little John Lennon sunglasses on, he could not see a single thing.
What?
So like,
Like, so that was real when he was actually trying to eat.
yeah, that was him trying to find his mouth, right? And when the scene where they're in the kitchen just eating stuff, I don't know, you probably can't tell on camera, but he actually ate a dog treat, like for real, and then immediately threw up into a trash can. And
Damn.
yeah, he was very committed to consuming plenty of disgusting things and spitting it out all over himself.
Man.
Like the
That's
scene where he has like multiple pieces of food in his pockets.
That was literally like, we went in the fridge and we're like, okay, what's in here? Here's an old pork chop. All right, there's a couple of hamburgers that we bought everybody for lunch. Yeah.
So I think one of our questions too, was it a kimono or was it a bathrobe that he was rocking?
Dude, all right. So yeah, that's a whole contentious point. It was a very, very expensive robe. I'll put it like that.
Damn.
Frosh and I had serious arguments over this robe because I was like, it doesn't matter. We'll just get him a regular robe. He was like, no, I have a vision. He was explicit that it had to be the $75 robe.
Good God.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. He's an idiot. Anyway,
Damn.
that was like the budget for the whole fucking movie. Like, it just...
Right. We only get this much. We're going to
Yeah,
put it on the
I'm
robe.
gonna put it on the robe. He put all of his chips on the robe. So I'm glad that you guys like the robe. It sounds like.
Yeah,
So
we were
that's-
trying to. Yeah, we kept trying to be like, dude, we can't figure out if that's a bathrobe because it looked like it was like silk. And you're just like,
It
dude,
was silk,
bathrobes
so-
usually, yeah. So we have my wife and I went to China for a while, And we have like, bathrobes. Like I don't know why we have so many bathrobes. We don't even wear bathrobes, but we have bathrobes. And then my mom was like, "Hey, you need to go over to this, whatever, the market, and they like measure you and you get like your own, So now like if my wife's doing like makeup and everything like that, she puts on like that nice like silk, like, kimono robe. And you're just like, damn, that's the only time you ever use that. Like I've never seen anybody. It's got to be like a generation or two above us. They're just like, get out of the shower, put a bathrobe on. No, just get dressed.
Yeah, right.
Get dressed. I had a friend who it went downhill pretty quick, but he just started wearing just boxers and a bathrobe and walking around with like a pipe and a sword. And I was like, fuck, all right, I got to move out, man. Like, this shit's getting too real.
You had me up until the sword. Yeah, I think the sword is a good place where you find different housing.
You can always walk around and just get contact high every time you walk anywhere. Where it's like, fuck, man, you going to get dressed today? I am. No, you're not. We're going to have a party tonight. Yeah. Fucking bathrobes. Anyways, just get dressed, goddammit. Even on the weekend. Like, going off on a bathrobe tangent.
I feel like in the 60s, you throw an ascot on there and some pants, and then you had an outfit.
Yeah.
Like a look.
Yeah. Like,
that would be a whole look, yeah.
What was, I think, COVID for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? My wife and I, we just put different costumes in every single one of our every one of our rooms. And so then like we'd hurry and, change. And then our son would knock on our door because I think he was only like 4 years old, you know? And so we were downstairs in the last one and it was just, like we put on, like I had on a pair of shorts and like a wife beater and I put on a bathrobe. So it looked like I was naked underneath it. And then some little fucking kids rang our doorbell. And I was like, what the hell? I had to fucking answer my door in a bathrobe and the parents are looking. I was like, hey, look, I got clothes on. They're just like, you son of a bitch. And I was like, God damn, like you got me. Like if that would have been, 3 minutes earlier when we were like dressed up as like an eagle and like a sumo wrestler, perfectly fine. But yeah, I can just see we've never seen those parents together. It's like, don't go to that house. That dude's looking for like the pizza delivery guy to be like, oh, oops, I dropped my shit. No. I was like, we're dressed. And the parents were like, seems kind of sketchy, man. Yeah. We never did that anymore though. We we just dressed up normal and then went out trick-or-treating. Yeah. Not bathrobe style though.
I think that's a fair plan.
It was messed up, man.
Yeah, we actually watched this. I mean, because this is the first time I think my wife has ever watched a movie with us, and one of my cousins, and I was like, let's just swing for it. Let's go for something completely ridiculous.
Just something fun.
Yeah, they were into it. This is one of those, like, it translates. It's not aiming to be top A level type of movie, and it knows exactly what it is, and it just translates extremely well.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's one of these things. Like I realized pretty early on that like I don't have the stomach for being a serious person.
Yeah,
like trying to make serious art. And I had a buddy of mine who makes movies, who told me, he was like, "Don't you feel like you should be striving for something better? Do something serious, Paul." And I was like, dude, there's so much misery and stupidity and shit in the world. I was like, if you can give people an hour where they can just turn their brains off and watch something stupid and laugh a little bit, I was like, that's much more valuable than your art film, your short art film where it's in, anyway, sorry, I'm going on.
No, like that's exactly, like a fun movie,
Yeah.
It was fun. Like that's exactly like, just watch it. We've talked to other directors, producers, writers, and there's like, when they get like the stupid comments, like the trolls, and you're just like, dude, guess what? I'm never going to go see a musical. You know why? Because I don't like musicals.
Right.
But,
yeah.
And so there's like, yeah. So when people write these stupid reviews, like, oh, that movie was dumb. You're just like, why'd you go see it then? Like, go watch it and just turn your brain off and go have fun. You don't have to worry about anything. Just go and enjoy the movie. Like it was a fun watch. And so
Thank you, man. Yeah, Killer Kites isn't burying the lead. If you go into that,
No, but it's the best part is that it is fun, and like it's one of those movies too, where like Napoleon Dynamite, where like you watch it, but then you talk about it so much more after you're done watching the movie, and then people brings up something, and you're just like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember that, and so it's just a fun movie, and so like you said, if you can't, daily laugh at yourself, make something fun,
yeah,
you're doing great, man. It was fun.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
But
Yeah, it was. I think I've watched it 3 times now because I watched it. Yeah.
Sorry, man. That's
Oh, no,
too much.
no.
That's 2 times too much.
no,
I mean,
every time you watch it, you can get more and more stuff.
Well, yeah, like we watched it the initial time, and normally, like, we're not, like really paying attention to the fine details, or
Yeah,
more
sure.
just, sitting there talking, making the episode, and then went back, and there's just all of these small things in the movie, and it does give you that really awesome rewatchability.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Man, you guys are awesome.
Any plans for number 2?
That's a good question. We had initially, when we had first talked about it, talked about making another one, and it may, we'll see. I guess is my big takeaway. Honestly, it's funny because like I thought for sure, and this is probably way too much inside baseball, so I apologize if
No.
this is about to get really boring. If I start getting really boring, just tell me shut the hell up and I'll change the subject.
No.
But like I thought for sure, I was like, okay, Killer Kites is going to be a good one for us. So I was like, it's a ridiculous title. The poster is great. It's just a good concept. It's a funny movie. I was really excited about it, but it's really not. I don't know how to put this, but it hasn't quite caught on in the way that I was hoping that it would. It's kind of, which is cool that we're doing this. I really appreciate you guys helping get the word out on it. So if enough people start watching it and liking it and stuff, we'll definitely make a sequel.
Nice.
Never made a sequel to anything before, but we have also talked about a shared universe thing where like, the killer mime or something is flying a killer kite and just really going full, like, what is it? Full Moon. Charles Band movies, like all the Evil Bond movies where they're fighting
Those
over
are great
nonsense. Yeah, right. But man, I tell you right now, I got one more scene to shoot. The new thing that we're doing is a movie called Murderitaville, and it's about a group of Jimmy Buffett impersonators who are on their way to a impersonation contest, and Buffett fans are called parrot heads, right?
I was not unaware of that.
Okay, well, they call them parrot heads. So
All
there's
right.
literally a man who has a parrot head, like he's like a werewolf creature, but he turns into a parrot human hybrid and starts killing them off one by one. And it's just as dumb as it sounds.
That's intense. All right. So you have one more. Well, I guess that kind of answers one of the hard-hitting questions. Are you working on anything that you can tell us about without getting in trouble?
Oh yeah, no, so there's that one. That one will be the next thing that we put out. I have a script for a movie called Bigfoot versus Big Shark. That's really looking forward to. There's also a musical. It's a horror, romantic comedy musical sing-along drinking game film.
Damn.
That no one will watch, but I will make eventually.
I was like, dude, that sounds like that's right up our alley. When we watch movies, like we tend to drink pretty heavily, and by the end of it, we're like, yeah, we get comments a lot. Like, how come you sounded so drunk? And I was like, because I was. Like, I'm not lying. Like, we tried to do I think, what was it, a couple weeks ago, we did a live intro on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, so like, this is my alcohol, like just a big, what is this? And so like, we usually try to kill 3-4 of these in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're feeling no pain. No wonder you guys like kites so much. Now it all makes sense.
No, even the beginning of the movie, No, so we start out. Well, normally we start out with the drink and the intro, and so we did the live intro, and I was like, "All right, well, we got to hurry up and chug this," but we didn't want to do a long intro.
Right.
Like normal our intros are like, like 15, 20 minutes, but I was like, "All right, let's do a 10-minute intro." Then we just like, ugh, then we're dreamers like, fuck, yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I think this is one of those movies that kind of perfectly fits into what it is we're looking for in a movie, because it's like my idea for like a movie we would watch, because I had no clue about a lot of these independent movies that people are making now, which they're amazing. Was Killer Workout. I was like this movie makes no fucking sense. It's like people keep going back to this gym when there's a murderer. Like I don't get it, and he's not hiding the bodies. It's not like people are like, did somebody murder somebody? Like, they did. Like,
They got that contract. You got to fulfill your contract, otherwise,
you paid for it.
yeah, that's exactly what happens. You can't be looking all busted.
There's one you guys should check out if you can find it. I'll send if you're okay with it, I'll send your contact info to him. This guy named Jorge De La Rosa made a movie called Hell Van.
Ooh,
Hell Van.
It's great, man. He's we met him at some cons. He hasn't put it out online yet. He just does physical media, but I'm sure he could probably get you guys a screener. I think you guys would really dig it.
oh yeah,
It's
that
a
sounds
lot
like
of fun.
something we watch. Yeah, we'd love to. I mean, that's the thing, is like this is kind of like the logical following point on us watching the movies. We love talking about, how did you come up with this idea? Because I know, like, with these, you don't have a million people behind you telling you how to think and what to do, and these huge budgets and all that. And these are the fun ones.
Oh yeah, man. No, like one of my many day jobs over the years, I worked for a brief period in reality television, which is an absolute hellhole that I don't recommend anyone do. But it really like opened my eyes just in terms of how the whole like Hollywood machine kind of works, and like how many freaking cooks are in the kitchen, and like it's a miracle that anybody gets anything made today.
Mm-hmm.
I have no desire to go down that rabbit hole at all. Like I like making my crappy little no budget movies with my friends and dicking around and drinking on set, having a good time.
See, that's the best time. The best time. That's what. It's another thing. They ask us. They're like, "Are you guys like movie critics?" And we're like, "No. Like we honestly just enjoy watching movies and having a drink. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's being around your friends and having some drinks. Like, and then being entertained while you're watching. Sometimes there's boobies. Sometimes there's just a bunch of murders. Sometimes there's some fucked up murders. And you're just like, good God, But
Oh, I know. Yeah.
good time.
And,
I was gonna see, you mentioned reality TV. I mean, my wife and I, we watch, like, I don't know if they're like the high end ones or whatever, like The Challenge, Big Brother, and like some of these, like, how much of what you see is really like naturally happening?
It depends on the show. So there are certain shows who are just completely contrived, right? So the show that I worked on, I think I signed an NDA, so I don't think I can technically tell you what the show is called, but I'll tell you off air. It's fine. It was a very popular dog show. I'll put it like that. And people can figure it out from there.
Flavor Flav of Love.
There were so there's essentially, in order to make every episode work, and again, this is probably way too much inside baseball, so I apologize. But every episode broke down into like 3 parts, right? There was a dog rescue, there was an adoption, and there was a like a story about the family who.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I know
So
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
the dog rescues were all real. Just people would call in, to go rescue a dog. The adoptions were somewhat real, and then the stories about the family were like nonsense. So I would say, yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's like, a lot of things would have to be redone, right? So something would actually happen. Somebody would get into a fight with somebody, but there's no cameras around. So it'd be like, hey, we need you guys to fight again and pretend like you're really angry at each other. So you do stuff like that. Or there'll be like a kernel of a thing that's going on, like, oh, somebody's donating supplies, and then that would turn into you essentially like you'd bullshit it up. You know what I mean? Like there's the reality of what's going on, and then you would act like it's a lot bigger of a thing so that you can have a plot arc for the episode.
I know, like we watch every once in a while we'll watch like what the fuck's like cooking shows or something where there's like 4 people on the show, and each one of them has like the shittiest life and like the horrible answer and everything. And I was like, dude, that's why we can never be on that show, because it'd be like, all right, what are you gonna do with the money? I'm just gonna put it in my bank account, hopefully, in case I ever need it. You know, my great grandma's stepsister's dog, it got hit by a tractor, and so now we need to put a fake prosthetic tail on it, and then we're gonna. No, I just need some money. You know, groceries are up. Yeah, I don't have a sad story. I'll be like, no, I'm just a normal guy. I work. I have a kid. That's it. I might get a new car. But, you know, it's like, they're like, okay, if you had $10,000, I'd be like, oh, fuck, I'm retiring. I'm never going to work another day in my life. Like, you know, I'm going to go down to the casino and put it all on black, because if I win, I got it. If I don't, then I never had in the first place. So, boom. They'll be like, what the hell? How'd you get on the show? Oh, sorry. And then I, you know, please exit. I instantly get cut. Yeah. But Anthony, I think he's kind of answered one of the hard questions already. I think we only have and then he kind of started answering the second hard question without even knowing it too.
I know. So kind of naturally kind of happened.
What was the second hard question?
Is there anything you could recommend to us? Yeah. I mean, if you had anything else, I mean, all suggestions are great.
Yes.
Let me think for a second, because I mean, Hellvan is great, but like I said, he doesn't have it online. So I mean, I'll send you his contact info. I'm sure he'd be happy to send you a screener and talk to you about it.
Oh, hell yeah.
What else is there? I don't know. You know, because like much like you guys, back when I was in high school, at least, I was like the group of guys I make movies with. We would go to Walmart and just go to the like $5 DVD section, and you get like 10 movies for $5, like all on a combo DVD, and just sit there and drink and make fun of them and have a good time.
Yes.
Man, this is crap. There's fish piss. That's another one. That's,
fish piss.
Fish piss. Not fish piss. That's.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. This podcast is available on all major podcast networks and YouTube. If you like what you're hearing, please follow, like, and subscribe to us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.